Are you ready? The Kornelia Stephanie Show. Wake up to love, your call to action. Join Kornelia as she empowers others to live heaven on earth. Kornelia teaches listeners how to be the authority over yourself, embracing your inner guru. Feel yourself uplifted into limitless expansion, integrating ease and grace in a changing world. This show will cover topics such as unconditional love, your physical body, how to be in extraordinary relationships, create financial and emotional wealth, embracing entrepreneurship in the new earth.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Kornelia Stephanie Show. It's an honor and a pleasure to be with you today. I'm here with Pia and Cullen, and we're here to talk about the Ascension energies on planet Earth and how to navigate these extraordinary times that we're living in. Welcome, Pia and Cullen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's good to have you. It's hard to believe that it is July 2024. And where did the year go? Where did the year go? Where did the time go?
And I think we're going to wake up and it'll be August already.
Right.
Just blink, close our eyes, take a breath, and it's going to be August.
Well, one thing I know for sure is that we're not in Kansas anymore.
That's right.
Right. We're not in Kansas anymore. We're in a new world, but it's like, wow. How do we navigate and pioneer this new time with all this chaotic energy going on outside of us in the world stage? And how do we create the simple life and the connection and the new earth that we're so deeply yearning for when we're all, at a point of like, what's next? How do we do it? So before we go into that, let's tell the audience who you are. Why don't you share a little bit about who you are, what you do, and just reintroduce the amazing work that you all do on the planet, which I'm so grateful for you. And so, Pia, why don't you begin?
I am a former practicing psychologist and author of multiple books. I think I have 9 books, most of them co-authored with Cullen, but some on my own. And I am a receiver of bringing in wisdom from other realms, from other light. And our primary work for the last 2 decades has been Cullen and me together, bringing forth the information from Pleiadian wisdom from a group called LARCMA, who give us a broader perspective on how to move forward with an accelerated evolution process that we're involved in. So that's our primary work. But we do other things. I have besides my psychology degree, I have a PhD in alternative healing, and I offer healing sessions for people with consultations. Not that I heal them, everybody has to do their own healing, but sessions with consultations about how to approach healing. And again, most of what we do is in the interstellar realms or the David kingdom or other realms, bringing that perspective, that wisdom here to the planet now.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. And what about you, Cullen?
Well, I would say Pia covered most of what we do. I think the only other thing I would share is that we've been like we are today since childhood. We had classic experiences of talking to other realms, the David kingdom, as Pia said, the angelic realm. We were absolutely involved with the natural world as small children, and we participated in amazing communication with the natural world. And I think that we have simply been growing in that ever since. And nature yet today is still extremely important to us. And so I would say that we probably have been a little bit unusual, not special because we're all special, but a little unusual in our abilities to communicate with other realms and other kingdoms and energies that are so helpful in wanting to help humanity grow, expand, and evolve. So I think that pretty much details what we've been doing and who we are today.
So many teachers, I want to say spiritual teachers, have pioneered the way, that have, educated and assisted the healing for so many of us on this planet, as you have written books and teach about ascension and talk about ascension and support our rising up. Do you like, has your role changed? Is your role changing? Is anything changing for you in that realm? Or are you continuing with the work that you have been doing? Will you be writing more books, doing the same type of work? Or are you passing the baton, if you will? Or, I don't know if I'm asking the right question.
You are.
Well, I would say I never know when I'm going to write a book. The inspiration strikes and I write. I was told this year in 2024, it was 2023. Last year, I was given a 13-day window to write a book that Mary Magdalene commanded that I write. She said, the information's been coming through you for a while now. You've got 13 days to put it together. You'll be told what to write. Sit down and write it. That's the first time that's ever happened. Usually Larkma, who's very kind and courteous, says, Cullen, Pia, would you mind doing a book for us? We'll dictate it to you. And this was not that way at all. Mary Magdalene said, you will write this story. So I never know when another book's coming out, but I have no plans for either of us to write a book in the near future.
But that doesn't rule out that we may continue to write new versions of what's happening as we all evolve. So
one thing that I'm doing is we have so many emails from people asking us, what's going on with me? I feel dizzy. I can't sleep. Or is this ascension, or am I sick? Should I go to the doctor? I am going to host a workshop the first weekend in August, 2.5 hours Saturday morning, 2.5 hours Sunday morning, where people can bring their questions, whether I can give them a cornucopia of remedies. We're going to talk about different perspectives of mental, spiritual, physical, emotional healing. People can share with each other. It's just going to be a time to be able to talk to others about, well, hey, are you experiencing that too? And hey, Pia, what do you suggest we do for this? Giving remedies, protection methods, all kinds of things. So that's coming up in August. It's not announced yet, except right here we're announcing it, but we will have it on both websites, piaorleane.com and larkma.com by this weekend. So that's coming.
Yeah, but to answer your question more directly, we're not really sure what we're going to be doing in any given time span or direction at this point. When we were traveling the world constantly for decades, bringing Larkma's wisdom to the public, we knew where we would be, not 5 years in advance, like some people having 5-year plans, but we knew 2 years in advance, 1.5 years before. We knew which country, which hotel, which convention center, which speaking venue we would be at. We can't do that anymore because things are changing so rapidly that we just don't know what will be coming next. But I can tell you that something that's occurred to both of us is it's very possible that the work we've been doing, which you asked in your question, I'm not sure that we will be doing the same work we've been doing all of these years, because I think the world, this world we inhabit, that we are part of, is going to change so dramatically in the next couple of years. I think the work that we've truly come here to do, maybe we haven't even begun yet. I think it might be completely different than what we're doing now. Do you have a thought?
I was just going to say, so it's not a matter of passing the baton. We are by no means anywhere close to retiring. We are expanding. The longer we're here, it seems the more our service area expands. One of the things also that I would like to talk about that is increasing is it seems that part of our expanding role is helping people cross over. We both have a tremendous history. I don't like that word, but it applies here.
Experience?
Yeah, that works. Good. Thank you. A tremendous experience with people coming to us when they cross over. Either they want to pass along a message or they say, I'm scared, help me. I need some help, and we provide assistance. But we have people coming to us a lot more in the last 6 months than we have maybe forever. And some of them come to give messages. Some of them come and just let us know they're crossing over. Some of them come and ask for guidance or support. But it's happening a lot to both of us.
We have both been interested in the area or the field of death and dying for a very long time. We come to it from different points of view or different experiences, but both of us have been involved with the idea of transforming or changing the essence of who we are between what we call life and what people call death. And so we've been involved in this for a very long time, but as Pia just explained, it's becoming more evident that that's going to be part of more of our work. And I'm not sure it's going to be just personal in the way Pia just described it of individuals. I think it may be more of a global or a larger picture of the changes that people are going through between being in this form as a human on this plane of existence and moving on to their next assignment, their next mission, their next adventure when they leave the human scape and move to a different energy, a different form.
Tour groups for Ascension process. That's it.
No, I think that will be a welcomed, and I think this is what I mean by passing the baton. I feel like we have those of us that are on the front lines that have been pioneering the way, paving the way, remember doing that interpersonal work, remembering who it is that we are. I feel like the work exists. It's here. It's here. We have, moved into what's possible with our physical bodies, what's possible with Ascension. And so the library is here. It's all here. The tools are here. And yet there is more, like you said, expansion of more of creation, what it is that we're going to be doing next. What I feel like is there is it feels like now we've been in a space of closing chapters, like closing this chapter. Yes, completing this, being done with this, closing things out, and also being in the void and being okay in the void, being there in the creation energies of not knowing what's going to be next, because it's not done from the mind. It's not done from ambition or whatever. It's just listening and intuiting, and then waiting, not necessarily sitting and waiting, but waiting, being ready for what's calling your true north, what's calling next at this stage in our lives.
Kornelia, I would say it's not just about closing the chapter. I'd say it's about putting down the whole book.
That's good. No kidding. Oh my gosh. That's so true. Colin, you were going to say something?
Well, I think what we're all talking about is how we're going to traverse or travel alongside and within all of these changes that are happening. And we've talked about this with you many, many times before. Humanity has never, ever in the history of us ever gone through what we're going through. We've never been given these parameters of not only choice, but the energies that are available on Earth are only available to us at this point. Other generations, our parents, our grandparents, as far back as we want to go, haven't been able to achieve what we've achieved in this generation. And so I think it's really important to realize that old saying, there are no longer any maps.
Mhm.
We don't have a handbook anymore. We are creating what we're doing moment by moment. And so I don't think any of us truly know what's coming next. I think when you talk about being in the void, I think that has to do with becoming more of a being than a doing. And I think that transition may be a little difficult for some people who are so used to being so busy. And I can raise my hand, and I don't know if I can show it here, I can raise my hand and say, well, I've been one of those very busy people. And the contrast of slowing down and being more meditative and being more involved in just being, whether that's spending more time in nature, whether that's meditating, whether that's simply taking a walk, whatever it might be. I think there's going to be a transitional zone where people are going to have to really look at themselves and tell themselves, this is very different. I'm not used to this. And at the same time, it feels like going home. It's very good, but
That's well said.
But at the same time, it can be challenging because we've been trained to be doers. We've been trained to do all of these things and keep all of these facts and figures inside our brains or our minds. And I don't think that's as necessary as it used to be. I think being in the present, being in the moment is much more of who we really are and who we're remembering to be.
If you talk about what you just said, Cullen, about the process of going home, that it feels somewhat familiar going home, any journey that we take in the third dimension is uncomfortable. Nobody likes to get on a crowded airplane, stand in line and wait on a bus ticket, sit in a crowded bus, take a train. Nobody likes the journey as much anymore. And it used to be it's all about the journey, not the destination. Now it's about being okay with the journey, whether you like it or not. Just knowing that the end goal is that we are going home. We are remembering who we are and not worrying that it's a little bit uncomfortable right now. That's just part of the mode of transportation.
It's a beautiful way to put it. And what I'm finding is that in my own reality, in my own life, that, the whole busyness part, when I was looking at that construct of always being busy, I found that it was directly tied to our survival and, getting ahead and, being busy for the sake of ambition, and that was connected to the survival and getting ahead and doing. It was part of the doing. And then now the pullback has in my life, because I've really been working with this myself, and I found that my values, that's the number one important thing for me, is that I want to live in my values. And what are my values? And then what is it that I really want? What is it that I really want? And I want a simple life. I don't want it complicated. And I want a simple life. I want a calm life. Where before, right? Like long time ago, I used to, be a drama queen. I'd like to create drama, right? Like, oh, and not realizing that peace is where it's at, to have a peaceful life, a simple life, a peaceful life. And those are my values now. And that also means quieting the mind of and releasing the busyness, that I have to do all of these things. I have to be busy. I have to achieve. I have to do all these things in order to, receive my income, be worthy. What are all those things? That was all attached to that. But I feel like now in this space that I'm in, that is abundant now. It's abundant already because I'm there.
Mm-hmm.
I think what you're explaining, I think what you're suggesting is a movement away from materialism, because almost everything you just described has to do with the material world. And whether it's Newtonian physics, whether it's the old quantum physics that's changing radically every day, that quantum physics is no longer what it was 100 years ago when it was first described. But materialism, I think, has been the generator in our age of being, how we've been in this world. And that has driven consumerism, that has driven having the abundance that we were taught was the only true abundance. And that would be money, power, greed, all of those things that we realize really aren't important. But I think it all comes down to materialism, because the material world has shown us, or we've perceived from our way of understanding, that it has shown us that getting ahead, as you said, is extremely important. Having the right car, the best car, the best house, the best job, all of it, all really comes down to materialism. And I think probably one of the greatest leaps that humanity can understand and go through at this time is stepping away as much as possible from materialism. And that's exactly what you said about your values of simplicity, of abundance in different ways, not the abundance of money, not the abundance of success, but the abundance of being peaceful, living a serene life, and being of service as much as we can without being too busy in that sense of service. So I think humanity at this point, at this juncture, whether they understand it or not clearly, needs to move away from materialism. And it's going to be a hard lesson, because materialism rules the world that we live in at this point.
So many people are hoarders.
Yes.
So many people are hoarders. And again, looking at the core wound about the hoarding, what is that about? Holding on, holding on, holding on. And even like right now, what I'm doing in my life is, how when in the springtime, we do spring cleaning, right? And I'm actually using the summertime to do summer cleaning. I'm using, are you doing that too, Pia?
Pia's in the middle of this process right now.
I absolutely am doing that now. And I don't know how long it'll take me to do it. I do it a little at a time, but it's a recognition, Kornelia, that all I've ever wanted is simple and deep. And all I have around me is things that are complicated. And I don't like that. So I'm clearing everything that's not necessary, give it away to somebody else who can use it, throw it away. It's a process. And I think it's an important process to help separate us from the attachment to this physical 3D realm and recognize that we are so much bigger than that. And we want to be free to explore all of who we are, not tethered to, oh, but I like that book. Oh, but I want that piece of jewelry, whatever it is. Sure, have some favorite things, some special books that uplift you, but not all of them, not everything. We just don't need it anymore.
even setting up my summer closet, where before I would have, totes and totes and totes of summer clothes, right? And winter clothes. And I'd have all these things. And now I've simplified over the years, and I've like probably more simple than most people. But now it's like, because I know I like to wear my favorites. So what are my favorites? I could wear my favorite every day, like my favorite pair of shorts or my favorite, whatever tops or whatever, and just have a few of those favorites and wear those. And so I'm in the process of doing the same thing of summer cleaning and simplifying things. And like you said, you don't know how long it's going to take because we do a little bit at a time. So I do, a little bit, like I did it this morning, even before coming on the show. Our show started here at 7:30 in the morning. And this morning I did about 30 minutes of it before coming on. I think that's so great. We used to be material. Everything was attached to our material consumerism, that we were consumers, and that's how we used to present ourselves to the world, that this is who we are, with how we look, with what we have achieved, and busyness and all the things all attached to it. And now moving into Pluto and Aquarius, and in our new Earth era, it is about being creators. And if we're creators, and if we are abundant beings, and if we remembered who it is that we are, and if we know how it is to manifest, then we know how to manifest moment to moment.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly. I can tell you that. Do you have a thought?
No.
When we decided to leave America many years ago, it was time for us to make a big change in our lives. And we sold everything we owned. Well, we went through the process of three piles: throw away, give away, and sell. And we refined that over a few months' time. But we divested ourselves of everything except for clothes, some very special chef's knives that we can't live without, and a few books. We basically completely got rid of everything we were used to owning.
And one piece of art that Cullen gave me that says, when I say I'm going home, it means I'm going to where you are.
Oh,
and through that experience, it was probably pretty liberating, because we had amassed, we're older people, and we had amassed an amazing amount of beautiful things. When I was in my 20s, I was in a session with, I think, a psychic or an astrologer. I don't remember which, but during that session, I was told that angels really love beauty, and that if you surround yourself in beauty, you will be allowing the angelic presence to be around you more. And I really took that to heart. And I collected all kinds of beautiful things: furniture, artwork, sculptures, lots of gems and beautiful rocks. And Pia and I really had quite an amazing amount of stuff that we had carried around. We moved a lot, and we carried this stuff, and I mean stuff, although it was beautiful stuff. We carried it around from place to place, state to state, and it was a big responsibility to have all that stuff. And we don't have that stuff anymore. We don't own a house, and we probably have a more, well, let me say, less complicated life because of that. I think we have more
freedom,
and more ease in our lives, because we're not carrying all of that stuff on our backs. So I understand what you're suggesting and what you're talking about really quite deeply.
it's all the emotional attachments that
Mm.
are, with our possessions as well. So, that we hold on to. And when we can freely detach, which is also part of being in Pluto and Aquarius in this new era that we're moving into, that we've moved into, we're living more in our true values and non-attached to those material possessions, those things that we thought added value to who we are, when in truth is that we already are without those things. We don't need those things to add value. It's nice to have them, and it's nice to look at them, and as long as you're using them and you're enjoying them. But if you have so much that's not being used, then that's where to really lighten the load and be free. Again, comes down to that core value. Would you two love to hear a story of what I just did this past month that was like so astonishing that I'm still astonished by it right now?
Yeah, we'd love to hear it.
I mean, I just can't even believe I did this. It's such a trip. It's such a trip. Okay, so because we're speaking about consumerism and we're speaking about new car and new things and all the things. So as you remember that back in March, middle March, my car was vandalized.
Mhm.
I had an older car, so I didn't have a car payment for many, many, many years. So my older car was vandalized. It was a silver car, and it was spray painted with red devil paint, attack energy all over my car. The whole car was silver and red paint all over it. So that's what happened. And so now you have an old car that I was still driving, and it was still good, and I wasn't planning on getting rid of it. But now that happened, I was really in a tough spot. And so what ended up happening is I could take that old car in and see if we can get that red paint removed and all of that. I just didn't feel called to do that. I felt I needed to make a change now. So what I did was there was a young teenager, a first time car buyer kind of person that needed a car to get back and forth to work. Him and his friends had the tools to take away the red paint, and he wanted the car. So he got the car. Okay, so boom, that happened. An angel came in and let me borrow her car while I look for my next best car at the time. And it just so happened that car that she let me drive was a Mercedes-Benz convertible, which already was like a huge deal. It was like, what? What? That was just because someone's so generous to just say, oh, here's my spare car. Take as long as you need. Well, I took her up on it. I took as long as I needed. And then I went ahead and looked at my values again. What's important to me? And, what kind of car do I want? So my value was that I didn't want to be in debt. My value was that I oppose new car buying, brand new car buying. I'm a new car. It didn't need to be a brand new car. And I want simplicity all the way around. So those were that I want to stay true to that. And then I started doing research on the top 10 best used cars to buy. So I had my list and I started doing the research. And when I started talking to dealers and people on the phone and whatever, and they're like, and then I'm trying to find out about that car that I asked. And then if that didn't work out or whatever, if it wasn't an absolutely great deal, then I wasn't interested. And then the person said to me, well, you might be interested in this car. And I go, no, I'm not. These are my cars. This is what I'm interested in. So here in my community where I live, there is a person that I recently met. He's a mechanic. And I happened to run into him, and he was, he knew about my situation, and he said, there may be a car that you may be interested in. It is a friend of a friend's, and it has 108,000 miles on it. And it was from the aunt who had to hang up her keys. She's no longer driving the car, one owner. And it's an old car, but a great car. And so he's setting up the whole thing. Anyway, to make a long story short, I went ahead and bought a car for under 5K cash with a person whose integrity I trusted. And literally, he delivered that car to my house, and I purchased that car without ever having test driven it.
That's an amazing story. You're right. That's a really good one.
I mean, I was looking at all the paradigms of all the stories, of all the things that people say you should not do and all the things. And I pretty much went all by intuition. It was all by trust. I knew what it is that I wanted. And I'm so pleased with this car. It's 108,000 miles on it. The car itself is 20 years old because it was a 2004. No, it's a 2005. And I'm just so pleased with it that, would you believe, this past Sunday when I went to go, I wanted to take myself to a place that was a favorite thing. Like, if this was the first time I'm going to come to planet Earth for the first time, what is it that you want to have? And then I would want to go to Round Table Pizza. So I took myself to Round Table Pizza, and I was sitting there looking outside at that car, and I had my pizza delivered, right? And I am just beaming energy of being so pleased with my choice, with my car, with my experience. And that beaming lasted for hours and hours and hours. It wasn't just a one-time meditative little thank you or whatever. It was an event. So this was something that I deeply experienced and enjoyed very much, because for the last, I want to say, 6 months, I had hellish experiences with my parents losing their house in a house fire, my car being vandalized, my computer being lost. The last 6 months have been extremely difficult for me. But when I look back, and I look back over like the last year and a half, it's probably been the last year and a half of what you said earlier, Pia, is closing the book. And basically closing the chapters, checking it off. I'm done with this. I'm done with this. I'm done with this. Closing it out, and then closing the book. And I feel like right now there is a sense of newness returning in me, that it's almost like, oh, good. I feel sparkles of happiness again.
That's a fantastic story.
Okay, but I have one very important question. Is the car that you now love, that's just right for you, is it part of the top 10?
It's not.
I knew it wouldn't be.
It's not part of the top 10. Isn't that interesting? I thought about that myself, because even when he said to me, that this is what the car is, and I said, well, that's not part of my top 10. And so maybe it was part of the top 11.
Well, I think that, but maybe beyond that, is our attachment and our wanting to do what we think is best. You picked the top 10, you did your research, you talked to a lot of people, but according to the universe, that wasn't the car you were going to end up with. But that was your choice to do that. And I think that's part of what's changing in the world for us. That's what I meant earlier about things are happening that we don't either understand or we're not really completely in line with, but they keep happening. And this, seeing the mechanic, having him talk to you about a possible car, it's a huge synchronicity. It's exactly what should have happened, but you were thinking it was going to happen a different way.
It's so true. And it was interesting because I've reflected a lot on that. Like, how could you buy a car from someone that you've never even test driven the car before, and you had faith and trust and believed that this was the right thing to do? It wasn't your top 10. what was the thing? What was the reason that you did that? And it was almost like it was my connection to the messenger that delivered the message to me, that that's what I was connected to. So that the dealer that I was talking to, I'm not connected to the dealer. So when the dealer says, hey, you might want to look at this car, no, I'm not interested in that. You got my top 10 list. If you don't have anything like that, nope, I don't want to do it. It came down to my connection to the messenger, the person. And so not only did I just buy this car and I feel free in the clear, and I could probably put 150,000 miles on this car, but I also gained a mechanic.
That's fantastic. You know, Cornelia, when you started describing your joy and radiating out how happy you were, and you said it was just an event, I think that's the way we're supposed to do everything. We're not supposed to dwell on the how it's going to happen or the details of what it's going to look like. We're supposed to focus upon how am I going to feel? What is the feeling I want to have from this car that I need? When I have my car, how am I going to feel? That's what we need to focus on. And then the synchronicities fall into place.
Yeah. The universe gave you exactly what you needed.
Yeah.
You didn't know it. You didn't plan on it, but the universe synchronistically brought you the messenger and the car and the experience of eating pizza and looking at the car that makes you have tingles. That is the way people need to live. And if we live moment by moment, you had a momentary experience by having the mechanic talk to you about it. And it didn't just roll up accidentally. It was a synchronistic event.
And even when you talk about it now, you radiate out that joy and that light. It just shines from your eyes, your face.
Oh.
You're still doing that.
I'm beaming, and I'm beaming again. I did a lot of journaling about this, a lot of reflecting about this, how the length of time, the time space, the event, how long that was, because I made the connection to, a lot of times when we have instant gratification, or we purchase something and then we have our joy or whatever in the moment, and then it's gone, and then we focus off on the next thing. But I was really like aware of the fact that I'm beaming for long periods of time. Everyone, did you feel it? It was like 6 hours long. I was sitting there beaming with my pizza in my car. It was just hilarious, And how could someone, seriously, okay? How could someone, I was just driving a Mercedes-Benz drop top convertible, okay? How could someone be so pleased and so proud and so happy and so beaming with joy with a car that's 20 years old? Because normally the ego would say, oh, look at you. I mean, seriously, we could have all kinds of stories. And I just feel so good about it. The other one thing I want to say is that it took a lot of patience for me to allow the universe to bring this car to me, because that car was in a different town. It had to be brought over. So the couple of times when we had set up the meeting point, it didn't happen for various reasons. And so then doubt could creep in and things could happen, where I saw that reflected by my close community of people that were like, did you get your car yet? Did you get your car yet? Did you get your car yet? Right? And I'm like, no, it hasn't happened yet. Right? Well, it's probably not going to happen. All the things. Right? And so I just kept on being within my joy and knowing that I am creating an environment of trust, and that I trust this process. I have a connection with this person. This is the car I'm going to buy, and that I'm waiting for it to come at the right time, which also showed me again that the universe has its own timing. God has its own timing. When that all is in alignment. When it's the right timing, it's going to happen. But in what universe do you buy a car that you've never test driven before, and it's going to be delivered to your house that day, and it comes with a mechanic? So that's what I have to say about it.
Perfect story. Perfect
Well,
story.
It's a story of grace and flow.
Mhm.
It is. So this has been my reward, I want to say, for the last 6 months of it just heavy experiences, and something so restorative has lightened my load, lightened my spirit again, and has given me just more sparkle again to express gratitude and appreciation. And your favorite word, Pia, is kindness, right? Being kind, because that's really what the world needs right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So to end this story, did the person that loaned you the car, was she surprised that it was time for you to give the car back to her?
She actually thought it was going to happen sooner. I want to say it's always that I don't. This is not against anyone or anything. It's always that energy of expectation that it should have happened sooner. Not to say that she was rushing me, but she was looking at me in disbelief, like, how could I be so kind of nonchalant about this? So when I was giving the car back, she thought it was going to happen a lot sooner. This person is a millionaire, and a millionaire that has a lot of money doesn't have to wait for anything per se. When they purchase something, they don't have to wait. So she was looking at me like, why don't you just go down and buy a car? Like, what are you doing? Like, what it is that you want. So she was looking at me. So I was supporting her, because really, she's observing this experience. She's part of the experience, and maybe she's learning something also.
We always learn from each other.
Hopefully.
Yes.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, right?
Yeah. Well, it's an excellent story of all kinds of things: patience, detachment, synchronicity, being in the magic of the mystery, that we don't know what's going to happen, and it's perfectly okay that we don't know what's going to happen. That is absolutely a wonderful example of getting out of our own way and letting what needs to happen happen. It's a great story.
Thank you. It's my hallmark for so far for the first half of this year. I'm looking forward to see what magic is going to happen next. And it's been an incredible experience. I don't know if I would have handled this experience in the way that I have handled it 2 years ago or 3 years ago. Maybe next year. I really want to say that, walking the humbled path, walking the path of not being in control of the outside world, has really brought me to my knees, if you will, in a way that I'm living in a state of surrender and in a state of awe. And I'm not in control of when things happen or, how they come to me. The only thing I can do is, release and let go of what I'm letting go of in my time-space continuum, and ask for being very clear to the universe and what it is that I want.
I think you used the word hallmark a minute ago. I think this is a hallmark understanding of letting go, all of us letting go, and allowing what really wants to transpire to take place. Humans are so resistant to change. We're so resistant to stepping out of our safety net, stepping out of normalcy. And I think this 6-month experience of your car story is a great example just letting it happen, letting what needs to be. And that is an example of us being more of a beer than a doer.
Oh,
I mean,
that's so good.
I don't want to keep talking about the same element here over and over again today, but I think this is a perfect example of slowing down, letting the universe help us in ways that it wants to help us and be supportive, and just letting things transpire as they will. I think it's a great example of how we can simplify our lives and step out of the, we have to know what's coming next. We have to plan. We have to be in control. We don't. And this is a great way of seeing that.
I was looking at the whole thing about the plan. Like you just said, the plan. Like before, I used to really want to have a plan. I wanted to have a plan.
I remember
Right? You remember wanting to have a plan?
I remember the issue of wanting a plan. I think everybody was conditioned to want to have a plan. It was programmed into us about this is how you have success. You make a plan. That really didn't always resonate with me very well, but I know we were socially trained to do that.
To have a plan. And, now it just feels so great and so free not to have a plan. Right? It's like, this feels so good not to have a plan. And, it's wonderful to know what your ideals are. Like, what's your ideal? Like, for me, what my ideal is, when I looked at my ideal day, like, what's my ideal day? I discovered that my ideal day is when I can be in my routine and when I can be in my exercise. Like if I'm going out for my 2-hour walk in the morning, and I can come back home and I can be in my space of creation and whatever it is that I want to create. But the routine was a part of that. And when I'm taking care of connecting with nature in the morning and being in my discipline, that I discovered that that's part of my ideal. And so that's where what the plan is literally just being in my ideal and allowing myself to create from a new place, not from a place of ambition or survival or all the things I used to do, but no, in this new place, how do I want to live the next 20 years of my life? How do I want to, what is it that I want to create now? And it doesn't have to have, I don't have to have the busyness and have it all planned out and every day, all this. I want room.
Well, I think room is freedom.
That's a core value.
Mm-hmm.
That's a core value, living in our values. I was going to ask you, like, what do you think? Like we've been on this ascension train for a while now and for a long while. And I know for me, I thought, that the earth, we would have already, all of us, the collective, we would have already been in a different place than we are. And so, and I'm okay with where we are now, where before, like if you would ask me that 3 years ago, I was pretty pissed off, that I was pretty pissed. And now, I'm not anymore. It's like, okay, so I've had this allowance of the collective and the journey and where we are now. So when do you think, as far as peace on earth, do you think that's going to happen in our lifetime, or do you think that's going to happen after we're gone?
I think that's an individual choice, and peace on earth happens within you, not within the outside world. And you can find it and claim it anytime in the now moment. You don't have to wait for it. It's not going to arrive on some celestial ship. It's within you. When you find it within yourself, it's radiated out to the world, just like you beamed your energy of joy out to the world.
I don't think there's necessarily a timeline. People talk about timelines all the time, and it seems to me that because things are happening so rapidly at this point in our evolution, a lot of people talk about as far off as 2037, that things will be occurring then. And my sense of what I guess would be timelessness in a timeline, which I know sounds funny, but I think it's accurate in a way. I think the next couple of years are going to be pivotal experiences for us. I think the rest of this year is going to be the rest of this year. This year is flying by so fast. We're going to be in 2025 in no time. I think 2025 and 2026 are going to be pivotal, absolutely changing times for us. But to go back to what you said exactly, if I can paraphrase it, are we going to see peace on earth in our lifetimes? I'm not sure peace on earth is going to happen on this physical planet. It's possible that those of us who have been on the Ascension train for so long are simply going to go to the new earth when people who are not on the Ascension vehicle are going to go somewhere else. I think that split is going to happen simultaneously. And I'm not sure if we're going to create what we call the Garden of Eden here on this physical, dense, terrestrial planet. It may be that it's only going to happen when those of us who are ready to move to the new earth may not actually be here. So I think things are going to change dramatically in the next 2 years. But whether that means that we're going to go to a different earth, or it's going to happen here, or everybody's going to stay here, or there's going to be a split where some people will go to a different place because of the work they've done, I don't think that's answerable at this point.
I think it goes back to the thing about when you were trying to get your car, all we have to do to manifest what we want is to think about how we're going to feel. How will it feel to be living in a peaceful world? We don't have to worry about the when, the how, or the where. Those are questions that are very third dimensional. All we have to do is focus upon the feeling of we are co-creating a peaceful earth, and isn't it going to feel great? Just focus on that.
It's a beautiful way to put that, because I did leave one word out of when I asked you that question. I just saw it again. And that is, when do you think we will see peace on earth? And the word is reflected back, from the chaos that we have now to, reflected back. That was the word that I left out.
Well, Cornelia, when you sat with your pizza gazing at your car, you were reflecting peace on earth.
Absolutely.
And all of us can do that in any given moment. And the more we do that, the more the outer world will reflect it back to us.
Yeah. I think we're going to be running out of time. I don't know if it's probably not a good time to start a new angle of what we're talking about during this discussion.
Are you going to remember it, Cullen, when we come back next month?
Oh, probably. I used to have the memory of an elephant, and I don't know if that's still exactly how I do things, but I probably will.
Okay, well, I'm going to call you to it, because I'm one of those kind of people that I'll pull out the calling card and I'll bring it back and say, hey, because I want to know what you were about to share, because I know what you were about to bring out to talk about. It's going to be wise and deep and exactly perfect for our time when we meet again next month. It's going to be in August. It's going to be the first week in August on Tuesday, August, what is it, Pia? August 6th?
6th.
Yeah, Tuesday, August 6th, we'll be back. But Pia, let's tell the audience again when you're doing your next workshop. What is it called?
Healing Through the Ascension Process. And you can find it on my website, Pia Orleane, PIAORLEANE.com, or on the LARCMA website, LAARKMAA.com. It will be posted this weekend. It's not available today, but it'll be posted this weekend where you can get all the details about it.
Yeah, pardon?
I hope everybody can come that is interested and wants to.
Yeah, because let's tell a little bit more about what you're going to be doing in that workshop.
I'm going to be talking about the symptoms everybody is experiencing in the ascension process. I'm going to be talking about remedies that will help ease the symptoms, whether they're physical, mental, spiritual, whatever they are. I'm going to use transformational tools that I can supply people, how to move through certain processes. Some of the voices from light will more than likely want to give things to the audience and join the group with some otherworldly wisdom. And I'm going to have an opportunity for people to ask questions. What do you think about this? Or what does this mean? How am I experiencing it? And get to connect with each other, because we find that most people that talk to us about this process go, I don't have anybody else to talk to. Well, I'm offering a forum where everybody who feels that way can come together and we can talk about it together, get some clarity, have some healing happen in the process of our group energy, and move forward.
So, you know what, it would be great, Pia, that if you could do that is when you have your landing page set up on your website this weekend, if you just send me the link for
Okay.
it. And what I will be happy to do is put this underneath this description here so that people can just click on it. It makes it so much easier for everybody.
Thank you.
That's great.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah. So I wore my yellow shirt for you today.
Thank you. My favorite color.
It's a
Thank you.
beautiful color. I was gonna comment on it actually.
Thank you. Thank you. It was just, again, the beaming of the sun, the beaming sunshine, just the beaming energy. And I just really wanted to share that with you today. Thank you so much for coming on the show and for having these wonderful, deep, enlightening conversations that support us right now in these evolutionary changing times that we're in. I do believe that 2024 and 2025 are the years where we won't recognize ourselves when we come into 2026. It's going to be amazing. So the simpler, the more fun we can have along the way, like sit down and let's have a few laughs. That'll be great.
Yes, absolutely.
Laughter is one of the best medicines.
That's it. That's it. Thank you, everybody, for listening and tuning in. And we'll see you again next month. Take good care, everyone. Thanks, Pia.
Bye for now.